Just in general, we're a lot more coordinated. Our chemistry is just way better compared to the other teams.
I think Doc and Asian are pretty comfortable and they adjusted pretty well. And they fit pretty well into our system as well.
As a team, we've definitely scrimmed more than I have on other teams. I feel like we're up to speed now and we're competing pretty well.
Before, some of us wanted to play more aggro, some of us wanted to play more passive. On this team, we all want to play the same way.
We're always known to be kind of aggressive, but it's a lot of like taking gunfights but together.
We're just coming into the games with a lot more confidence, having fun. Those are two elements that I was really emphasizing during the offseason, and I know everybody has really been preaching, like, let's not stress out about every little detail. We know that we're good, let's just show it.
Don't let the pressure get to us. Just chill out, play loose, play how we want to. Stop putting pressure on ourselves for our attacks, because we know our attacks are poor. We're trusting our defenses right now. As long as we make plays as a team, we'll win the attack.
I think this stage, we started strong. We need only 3 more wins to make it. We're going to be able to adjust, fix our mistakes, and be back next week to win hopefully 2.
I mean, obviously we want to make the major. That's definitely our goal. I mean, we're in a good spot for it.
We continue to hammer out the kinks of every single stride every single day, so we're just going to keep looking to do that, keep looking to improve, and improvement is just our #1 focus.
I love it, right? I love hearing how revitalized Mirage seems, right, in those interviews. It seems like a different team, right? Obviously, we have the 2 new players coming in, but just the attitude, the swagger, I think, is there in a way it was never there earlier in 2022, and the results are kind of proving that they have a reason to be swagging out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the results look really good. I mean,
Yeah.
Mirage are the only team that can say that they've won, or they've gotten at least 1 point through every single match since the first Playday. It's been a long time since Mirage have collected 0 points. If those overtime games go the other way, Mirage could very easily be #1 in the standings right now.
They keep on climbing, but they're doing it mostly on the back of what's been a very surprising defense, which has always been Mirage's strong suit. If you look at how they've played out most of this year, defensively, that's always been where they've had more success, even if it's still met. They were dead last in the previous 2 stages. The problem is, can their attacks actually improve beyond 9th place? It's a 41% win rate on that side of the stat sheet, and it's honestly not that far behind several teams, if only by a couple of percentage points, but that's still the thing that they need to clean up, and against a Parabellum team that is usually very solid on defense, depending on the map, this is an intriguing case of who has the stronger side heading into this contest.
Well, let's talk about Parabellum a little bit. Let's dive into that. You were mentioning earlier CDAPs. It's nice to see some of the players come up. Doc and Asian start to do pretty well, perform pretty decently here in NAL. But are they going to bring Parabellum enough to get them to the major?
You know, they might just have their biggest chance going into the major, because this is a roster that is seemingly revitalized with completely differing philosophies than what we've seen in past stages. No longer is this your mama's Parabellum. This is not that old school pink and white jersey back in the SI run, because there's no Penguin. Sonar is now only a coach, and the way and the direction that this team is going is all about playmaking and adopting this meta, bringing it into the new age, having that excitement, having explosive attacks, but with what historically they've had good defenses, has actually kind of slipped a little bit.
I think whilst there is a lot of good things you can say about these rookies, I think this may be a match where Parabellum want to rest back on some of their previous experiences. Because when you look at the head-to-head between the Battle of Canada, the English-Canadian org Parabellum, the French-Canadian org Mirage, historically, it's been far, far one-sided, favoring Parabellum. It's been 725 days since Mirage beat the roster we now call Parabellum. In that near 2 years, obviously, Eska's the only remaining player from that one Mirage match that they ended up winning. Since then, there have been 7 maps in a row that Parabellum have won against their Canadian rivals here. So obviously, with new teams, I think this is the first time we're actually seeing Mirage as potentially the favorites in this game, because they've got some really hot pickups. But absolutely, if Parabellum can kind of call back to the olden days, they may be able to just pull out an upset here.
It's been good to see them bounce back, and I think when they've had this kind of adversity, it's only going to make them stronger. They were obviously undefeated on Border through the first week, and since then it's definitely been far murkier waters. But I keep on coming back to the maps that they've been playing this stage and wondering if their play style is simply more conducive to a different kind of map. And I'm wondering if they want to keep on expanding that pool beyond what we've already seen from them this stage so far. If they keep on playing on tighter, closer contested maps where they have the ability to trade more, they're going to do considerably better on their defenses, because that's been such a lacking point for them in this stage. And if they play on much more broad, open maps, then they also have to prioritize sticking together and actually working as a unit on defense to disrupt some of the attacking plans plans that they're going to run into. The nice part is they balance each other out on both attack and defense. The weaker side for one team is also the weaker side for the other, and the stronger side is the stronger side for the other. So when we're on both halves of this game, both teams will be playing into a deficiency or a strength that their opponent also shares, which is going to make it a pretty balanced game.
The dynamic is going to be really interesting. Go ahead.
I was going to say that pretty much the biggest thing with Parabellum that you got to notice with their defense is that big play capability. So many rounds it seems like they almost get bailed out by somebody like Blaz popping off for a 4K, a ridiculous 2v5 sight hold if the early round seems to fall apart. And the deficiency in the attacks of Mirage has been seen in that mid round, and that's kind of the pocket of where you would see these big plays potentially go through. So if that's really what you want to focus on and hammer home, it's a pretty good thing to look at.
Yep, that's right. Well, let's talk about Mirage, their opponents on the other side of the arena now, and we've been talking about them a lot this stage. This is a team that looks revitalized. They're in the hunt for the major. Can they take on Parabellum? You know, they talked about focusing on the defense, but you do need to have some success on attack, I think, to win a game.
Yeah, which has been their biggest problem. Right now, they sit 6 points behind the average on attack as far as the league is concerned. And 6 points, honestly, doesn't seem that terrible when you look at it. And then when they're on defense, they're 8 points above whatever the current average is. So it feels like they're always going to have one side that seemingly favors the other. But on attack, I wonder if it's a leadership thing. That means they can't finish what they start. Sometimes they can get some of that early aggression. They can meet the roamers head on. It feels like a lot of plays they have are trying to match the tempo or set the tempo very early in their attacks. But then you make the flip side, and on defense, all of a sudden they're monsters. So what on attack isn't working? That's the thing I want to answer over these next 2 days.
Yeah, and probably the biggest thing with those Mirage attacks is you mentioned leadership. Who's their leadership? The 2 rookies. You have Dexter doing a lot of early round shot calling, and Mohesi using kind of that late round execute phase, which has obviously been where a lot of the issues kind of arise from.
Yeah, and I mean, we can certainly focus in on their attacks all day, but you can't take away their defensive stats, right? Over the last 3 games especially, they've been so good, 70% defensive win rate. And these boys, they remind me of myself in recess, back in 4th and 5th grade. If you're gonna find them, you're gonna find them on the swings, and they may be the most aggressive team that we have in the league right now. What I've loved to see from Mirage is constant peek outs from, you know, whoever it might be, whether it's Dexter coming in for a big swing one round, it might be Mohesi the next. But there's always one person, at least last week, that I thought was doing a great job of holding back, and that was Melted. Through the first couple of weeks, it felt like that was kind of more Mohesi's job on defense, to play a little bit more of an anchor position, play a little bit more passive. Last week, whether it was a role change that they specifically implemented or whether it was the fact that they just played back-to-back maps on Villa, Melted played so much smoke, 77% pick rate on that operator, something he really hadn't touched throughout the rest of the stage too often, and he was doing a really great job of staying alive late and going for those clutches. 3 clutches is now the most clutch player of any team in the North American League, and he got 2 of them just last week. I think the role changes for Melted as being that kind of hard rock that the rest of the team can rely on, that can like let them be confident and go for those swings, has been really, really impressive, and it's one of the big reasons why Mirage works.
It's neat to see Melted in this position, because when I talked to him in Vegas before the stage began, he seemed to really have like a fire lit under him. He was like, I did not play well in stage 2. I was sick for a lot of the time. I just didn't get to show what I wanted to show. I think he came into this stage on a personal level with a higher level of motivation than we've seen earlier in this year, and it's showing.
I think this is something you can also piggyback on if you want. Melted's always been kind of a project, I think, back in the Parabellum days and when he was playing in Challenger League, wondering if he was the guy who was really going to fill in the pieces on a PB team that was still trying to get to relegations in the first place. And now that he's had all this time on Mirage, we figured out what roles he's good at, what roles he's not good at. It's just taken a long time to figure out how you want to craft this guy into what Mirage has needed, right?
Yeah, and then if you take a step back even further from his Parabellum days, you got to think about the Wichita Wolves, Ape, Rise era. And guess what? There's another player on this team, Mohesi, that came from that same system. And I got to talk with Guerra this week. Wonderful to talk to him as always. But those philosophies from Ape, which we see a lot with Astralis and we talk about with call-out-isms, being brought in on the hard work and that effort and the mental strength for this team, is also applied onto Mirage and bringing in, and you can definitely see the changes.
That's something I actually talked to Mohesi about a couple weeks ago, and I asked him kind of how he became such a strong IGL and how he kind of has fit into that role. And he said straight up, I credit Callout, I credit Forrest for teaching me a lot of these really important skills, and that has allowed him to evolve and be this leader that Mirage desperately needed.
Right, well, the map vetoes are in. It's time to find out where we're going to be playing Let's see, Cafe and Bank off the stage right away.
Yeah, a couple of clear bans. Kind of hurts to ban Bank against Mirage, who haven't touched it since stage 1, but not entirely unexpected. Border and Theme Park. 2 maps, each team banning a map their opponents have played 3 times this stage, so we will not be getting any of those classic comfort picks. And then Chalet and Sky. Skyscraper is the map these 2 teams played on last stage. It was a stomp favoring Parabellum 7-1, but with the new rosters, maybe don't want to try that again.
See, here's the thing. I thought either Oregon or Villa would be the map that we'd play between these two, but Parabellum still have a ban on the board, and Clubhouse is still left. And you know, Parabellum do not like Club. It's been one of their permabans all year, which means it's actually Mirage that basically gets to pick the map that we're going to between either Oregon or Villa. Both of them seem as though they make perfect sense. Mirage will take Oregon. Surely Parabellum ban the Clubhouse here. They do, so we head to Villa instead for the year. For Parabellum, an 80% win rate on it, and they've almost never banned it. They love this map. They really want to go the distance on this thing. They just did that 8-7 against Astralis last week. And for Mirage, they've also played it twice this year. Historically, they've liked it, but they have yet to bring this map back to a 50% win rate, given their struggles on it, both in stages 1 and 2. But I do think, given the fact that both teams like playing it as often as they do, this was kind of the expected result.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens on the map. But before that, we have to predict who we think is going to win the map. And to start us off, as always, we're going to check in with our casters, Pengu and Intero, waiting to tell us who they think is going to win this one. It's a little bit tricky, I think. Mirage certainly seems to be coming in as a bit of a favorite, but not a huge favorite, in my opinion. What do you think?
I think that Canada wins.
You think Canada wins?
The Canadian organization,
Very
so
bold
the country
statement.
of Canada will prevail here ultimately.
So it's one of those like the fans will win.
I just hope everybody has a really good time.
Yeah.
I think it's the good to say.
We learn a lot.
Boo, pick a side.
We're all better friends after this. Yeah.
We're all better friends.
You got to choose, though.
Like,
You got to
I
choose.
learn more in loss than I do in victory. But no, I mean, if you just go based off of who's performing better, then obviously I would go with Mirage. I genuinely don't know who's going to come out on top. I would say Mirage because I'm going to go with the team that I think has shown more upside, but it would not surprise me if Parabellum wins the match either.
I am going to say Mirage. They are amazing on the defensive side, but on their attacking side, whereas PB is a little bit more fully fledged in my opinion, so I'm going to go with Parabellum. But I think it's going to be a very close and hard game for either team. It's not a landslide at all.
You're going with Parabellum, is what you're saying?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. We got to change the
Oh,
graphic
they
then.
misheard you.
It sounded like you said Mirage at first. I heard that too. But
Are you just saying that because he's Danish?
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like I can understand just fine.
Also, we can't take the same team because we're at the same percentage, 53, so like
That's
one of us
true.
has to come ahead.
Yeah,
so
next to break.
You only have 3 days to keep fighting, so
This is the moment.
keep doing it.
there we are.
All right. Thanks for the opinions. We're going to check in with our casters again once the map begins. But now it's time to find out what our analysts have to say. 1-1 so far. You want to break the tie?
Well, I think I will. I think we're going back to Villa, right? And this is a map that we just saw Mirage do so well on the last week, and it's the one that I think their adaptations with, Melted playing a little bit more passive was so successful on. So I'm liking Mirage here. I think that they're really on a strong path, and Parabellum, since week 1, have not looked like a strong team. So I think Mirage, they're finally going to break the curse and beat this team that they have been trying to beat since 2020.
All right. Special guest, CDAPS, what do you think?
I'm going to go with my former favorite team.
Wow.
I still have a soft spot for Parabellum.
Still biased. We've had
just a little bit.
two PB biased analysts in 2 weeks.
Yes, but the
Hasn't helped
biggest thing for me was just how woeful these Mirage attacks have looked. It's a 41% across a couple of plays with, sure, their attacking entry percentage is not that bad. They're slightly above average, but the conversion rates, those really kill me on that low 50%, one of the lowest on a map per kind of across the entire stage. And where the small issues that we've seen on Villa this stage from Parabellum have been on those defenses, I think those issues can be ironed out, and there is the big play potential for players like Blaz to just explode.
Yeah,
Sound logic.
I'm down on the PB pick too, mostly because Mirage's attack win rate through 2 Villa plays so far, it's only 36%. It's pretty abysmal so far in the year, and I think they need to find a way to step it up, but I do think Parabellum has smaller issues that they can fix over the course of just what has been only a couple of days since they played it last. I'll give PB the edge here, but it's still really close because this was a map that definitely could have gone either way.
All right, 2 for Mirage, 3 for PB. Let's see what the coin has to say. It's going to be heads. Parabellum, it's going to be tails. Mirage, we'll go ahead and flip it. It's a stunt coin today. I have to forget my other one at home at least once per stage. It's heads. The coin, it says Parabellum as well. Interesting. Our Kennedy $50 this time. And
You know what I'm noticing?
what have you noticed?
The Canadians in the Canadian matchup have both sided against the Americans. And I feel like as Canadians, we have an extra little bit of insight, which means that we're going to be correct here and Mirage are going to win.
I mean, time will tell. Let's see what
Imagine
the fans
how
have to
hilarious
say.
it's going to be when they wrong.
The fans have been the most correct so far, besides some of our guests as far as the fans, 57% apparently, say Parabellum is going to take it. So most everyone going Parabellum, couple going Mirage, Jesse and Taro throwing it behind the Mirage squad on the hot streak in stage 3. We'll see if that's correct or not. Now, let's look at our community poll. What question on Twitter do we have to think about? Who will have a higher rating, Kool-Aid or Mohesi? There you go.
That's a fair poll.
That is a very fair poll.
Couple supports.
To find out, you can go and vote on Twitter at R6esportsNA. That's going to do it for us here at the desk. A quick break, and when we come back, the first map of the day gets underway. Parabellum versus Mirage here on Rainbow Six NAL. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few.
I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Stumbling out the Uber, grab my hand, gave me the notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I was sipping Moet for 2 years straight to the face. Champagne belly bubbles still won't go away. Last year my best man hit a stain with bare face. Now he's got a hell behind the water's cold case. I wake up with pain sometime and never go away. Wonder why I bow to my knees when I pray. In my city gritty, gotta keep it on your waist. Or you might be a victim, they'll find you DOA. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry.
Match up number 1. Let's get this underway. Parabellum versus Mirage. I was saying to you before we got into the match today, when we were sitting eating our lunch/breakfast together.
Breakfast.
Breakfast. Because it was 10 a.m.
Yes.
10 a.m. give or take. That's usually breakfast, at least where I'm from. That 6 days ago, five play days ago, 7 play days ago, we would look at this matchup and we'd go, yeah, it's nothing special.
It's whatever.
And yet here we are, looking at a team in Mirage that is currently sitting tied for 3rd. That is correct, tied for 3rd. They and XSET both have 11 points. If Mirage wins in this match today, they will not be first overall because they'll still trail the Sonics, but they will jump all the way up to 2nd place. And the likelihood that they go to the major will soar through the roof. That is correct. You heard that.
Damn.
Perennial basement dwellers of NAL could be going to the major. Parabellum obviously still sorting some things out with this roster, have not lived up to the potential that I think so many had hoped for them. And they as well, though, are on the cusp of making it to the major. If Parabellum wins here today, they will actually end up in a tie for 3rd as well with XSET and Mirage at 11 points.
It is surprising to look at, and I really think that the matchup potential for Mirage versus Parabellum is monumental. It's like their play styles, they almost supplement each other really beautifully because they can both play so aggressive and they both have their very small niches where they excel in. So for example, we spoke about it on the desk with C-Dabs. Mirage's attacks are a big question mark for me going into this matchup, whereas Parabellum's attacks are a whole different story. They're so different. So to see how they match up on the individual rounds. Start things up, it's going to be Parabellum on the attack and Mirage in the defense as we're just going to start betting the operators out just in 10 seconds time.
Back in Playday number 5, Mirage came to Villa to play up against Xset, and Mirage was up 6-4 at one point. In fact, they were up 5-2, and then Xset clawed it back and knocked out Mirage in overtime. And of course, it's not exactly the result that you want for a team that had so many opportunities, and they led the way in opening picks, and they seemed to dominate with the numbers advantage, and then just ultimately could not sort it out midway through the round. And Xset was able to claw back. Is Parabellum that same team? I would argue that Xset are a far stickier team than Parabellum, and when I say sticky, I mean they stick to you. You can't shake them. You can't get rid of them. They're like a burr. They're just clung to you. I guess burrs are a little sticky. I don't know if Parabellum's going to be able to do the same thing. Mirage, just as they did against Xset, starting on defense. First, operator bans are in. Azami and Nook banned out, as is pretty typical of most NAL games. Flores and Valkyrie, the other bans that came in.
Yeah, the thing is, Mirage, they need to be on fire on the defensive side. That's like their simple win condition. When they played up against SSG on Chalet, that also was like an overtime match earlier in the stage. Same story. Mirage need to find success on their defense to have a chance at winning these kinds of games. And the thing is, when Mirage played Dark Zero on Villa, it was a 7-3 victory in favor of Mirage. They were doing really, really good. But the question is, how does that now work against Parabellum, whose entire meta game, how they approach Rainbow Six Siege, it's so much different than that from Dark Zero. Well, opening round so far, we already see Mirage bringing out a handful of operators that are a little bit unique for this situation, right? Kento on the Frost and an AVG defense is not very common, and we also see Dexter bringing out the Warden just in case Parabellum they get freaky with the smokes or the flashbangs, the Ying, for example. So already from the get-go, we're seeing some counterplay or potential counterplay, making sure that PB can't bring certain operators, and if they do, they'll be suited for it. Of course, we got Mo and Melted on that shotgun duo of Smoke and Mute, a stable set of operators for any bombs out of Villa. And a spawn peek.
This is pretty. This is common stuff. We saw this from Mirage before. Dexter will go jumping out of windows, going for those early picks, maybe try to catch your opponent off guard. But again, it always goes both ways. If it works out, you go, "Oh, that was brilliant! What a genius move that was." If it doesn't work out, you go, "What are you doing? Stay in the building."
Well, you're right. It's there's almost like no worse way to. I guess there is no real worse way to dive into a spawn peek, right? You step out of spawn, it's like been 5 or 10 seconds. You're there, you're like, what is this guy doing? Why is he being stupid or silly? But in reality, if you dive into a spawn peek, it's probably on you more than anything else, or not being careful enough. So learn from your mistakes. Don't repeat them.
Good way of putting it. Logic Bomb goes in. So a host of changes on the test server that were published today. If you didn't see it, changes to Rook, Doc, and I mean the operator, not Doc.pb, who is currently about to nade the shield that had been opened up earlier on from that hole below. And then obviously a change to Dokkaebi as well, where if you are dead, then you still get kicked off of cams, which is a very interesting change. Not active just yet, so still a little bit less potency in those logic bombs, as annoying as they may be to try to find the off-site players of Mirage.
No, you're right. I mean, Dokkaebi already now has started to see a fair bit of play recently with the secondary EMPs being added to her kit as well if you want to use them. So we might see a bit of a meta change going forward, which I always think is a welcome change, as we have for this stage in itself. Of course, recall's been altered. All weapons are now viable, I would argue, and we see more flexibility in both the attack and defensive side.
Well, star-studded performance from Blaz will help Parabellum. He's the most kills of anybody in the entire league right now, sitting at 67. He's got a couple that are nipping at his heels, but ultimately, the Frenchman dominating the North American League, showing why he was a highly touted prospect that was imported over to this region. If Blaz has a bad day, the rest of Parabellum, thankfully, have a whole bunch of players over 50 kills through these 5 play days. Blaz hits the first pick. Oh, and 2, in fact. Starting off strong, exactly what you need out of him. Clearing out both Kento and Dexter. Benji holding over towards 90 with just over 30 seconds to go. Doc has been taken down, though, and might get gassed out by Melted. As he does, the plant by Blaz attempted. He loses half of his HP in the process, but he's killing. 4 kills, a 5th quad for Blaz. He could get them all. All he needs to do is find Mohesi, but Mohesi finds him first. A potential comeback brewing for Mirage. It's a 1v2. Asian is recoverable if that's the priority here, but Mo has ice in his veins. Channeling the Great White North. Eska with Diffuser in the midst of the bomb site. He's getting it down. If he bails off, he loses out. And he has enough time. He gets off at the last second, and Mo gets the clutch. Hell of a first round for Mirage. Blaz gets 4 kills, and it's all for naught because their opponents take round number 1.
That is actually such a frustrating round if you're Parabellum, because like can anybody else get a single kill on the board? Because that was basically Blaz doing all the work, and then Mo, same story for the opposite team. Really a battle of titans right now, and I mean, that is ridiculous. The entry from Blaz was absolutely huge. Getting 2 kills off the bat, 90 and red stairs, and just going through the bomb site and taking care of every single member. Impressive stuff, but Mo, he returns the favor. SMG11 did arguably get buffed this season with that muscle break being added, so if you thought that Smoke or Mute players are lethal before, well, they're even stronger now in this current patch of Rainbow Six Siege, and Mo just showed exactly what you can do with that operator. Great clutch for him, and Mirage, they keep their first opening defensive round as a victory, even though it looked very dicey for a moment.
We would tech pause right now, unsure of the reason. We'll keep you updated as we get access to it. We're talking about kills. Blaz, obviously, the most kills in the North American League with 67. Add 4 more to that, pushing him up to 71. The first player to break 70 kills in the NAL so far this stage, and he does it in a pretty disappointing result for his team, ultimately, because they don't win the round. But if you're looking at another metric, 50 kills, well, most of this Parabellum squad have already broken 50 kills. The only one that hasn't, that is far and away incapable of reaching it this matchup, barring a miracle, is Eska. He's sitting at 30 kills. Asian has 44 kills. Melted and Kento, 46 kills each. And Mo had 49 kills heading into this matchup. But with Mo getting that clutch, he's now broken 50 in total. So add another person to it. And I mean, this is Playday number 7. So over 6 Playdays, to have almost 10 kills a match for some of these players is a mighty fine score for when you see the average match being about 10 to 11 rounds.
No, absolutely, you're correct. And of course, if you play max OT every single day, then you can argue that, there's some round inflation. So I feel like kills per round average could be like an even nicer stat to look at just for consistency purposes, but you are correct. And I mean, most teams, they're pretty evenly matched these days. We don't really see crazy landslides the same way as we did like a year or 2 ago. You mentioned Blaz last round, Parker, but like whenever I watch Parabellum, my eyes normally lies upon Doc, because when he just walks into a building, kind of like Blaz did that previous round, they will just find kills and win gunfights seemingly out of nowhere. And I really think Parabellum, if they can keep utilizing the new star players, or the new young players rather, they will just walk over so many teams in the NAL. The thing is, Mirage is like the most lethal defender team, I think, right now. And I spoke to Dexter last week, and I said, Dexter, explain to me you guys' playstyle when you approach the game. And he was like, it's pretty straightforward. He's like, we just kind of, we play aggressive, we play together, and we're not afraid to take these gunfights on the defensive side, but our weaknesses lies in our attacks when it comes to problem solving. And that's something you'll fix with experience over time, so I think Mirage really have a lot of potential going forward for them if they can keep, putting up rounds and numbers and even getting victories here and there. Monty getting broad. Doc, as you said, was the focus for you on Parabellum's side of things. Take some damage right at the onset. Not the start that you want. Mo has also exchanged some of his life, so both these members of Parabellum having a bit of a conversation, a war of words. Escott and Repel upside down takes out Benji, second round in a row that Parabellum will start off the killing. It's a nice catch right there. Normally when people, they bring out the Muncie, the issue that I see is that you don't really have anyone that maybe catch those roamers as they run backwards. So having 90 Repel and Red Window Repel really cuts off any way around this Muncie, away from this Muncie player that is Kool-Aid, and now you get a free kill of your choosing. It's the Jaeger, not the biggest value operator kill-wise, so to speak, but you are finding yourself in a man advantage, and you still got 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock. It's a great pace for Parabellum. They got so much utility. Nades, flashbangs, and smoke grenades. They can pretty much approach this round however they would like to, especially if Kool-Aid can stay alive on the Muncie itself. Mo is arguably the key operator right now. He's playing downstairs. He does have a C4. He does not have a ton of information. No Valkyrie, no Echo on the board. So he is going to be playing off information based off sound or visual cues from his teammates on the bomb side. So if Mo plays this correctly, he could get at least 1 kill for his trouble's worth.
Mo really has been this cerebral assassin. Squared Circle fans will appreciate that reference, so I hope that you get it. Jacob in particular will probably benefit from it, because he is he's a wrestling guy. There goes Mo to Blaz, by the way. This was the opposite way that it happened in the previous round. The Monty will lead Parabellum on in. Doc sustaining some damage as the Mountain continues walking forward. Now Melted is down for the count. Blaz on top of Astro Stairs. He's dead. Kool-Aid, pistol in hand, doing some major work. It's Dexter to clutch out. And just as he could have potentially seen the smallest bit of a head upside down, he gets blocked by the Mountain, who will continue to walk in his direction. You got to pick your poison. Diffuser's down, by the way, so we are continuing to watch the clock as it's Kool-Aid to get his second pick. Nicely done by Parabellum as they answer back.
I love that. Whenever you're playing Monty, don't just walk around fully extended. Do what Kool-Aid did just there. Just extend, unextend, extend, unextend. Dexter was always thinking he might be a DSME, but then Kool-Aid would just keep, playing it passively. And the one time Kool-Aid actually aggresses, Dexter thought it was a fake, didn't really prepare himself for the gunfight, and therefore lost it. It was a very beautifully played execute from Parabellum. Monty walks on in, gathers information of 2 of the 3 members on the Mirage side, and then you'll have Asian hold one angle while Doc tries to walk into the bomb side. And the diffuser delivery, in towards the bomb side is just so cleanly done. There was no real way for Mirage to get a foothold of that round unless Mo stayed alive downstairs with that C4. It really was their only answer. The downside of not bringing a smoke is if the enemy brings the Monty, you're in a really tough position to stop him in his tracks or slow him down. Especially if you're playing operators like Frost, Jaeger, who can't really do a whole lot but just shoot towards his shield. So now we are going to change the bomb site once again, despite losing. We're not going to go back to the same bomb site. We're going to go downstairs to kitchen dining instead. Extend up above. Bring 2 C4s, Melted and Mo. Likely both going to be playing on the bomb site itself with that mute pulse combination. Very common setup. And then Dexter bringing the Lesion could also be an indirect counterplay in case the Monty gets brought, as you get both the impacts and the goo mines, which will help you stop the Monty from pushing as freely as it was last round.
Anything to slow down the pace that can be set with a Montaigne leading the charge. I like that they're bringing the Monty, frankly. I mean, they're not this round, but I like that Parabellum is bringing it. I think Spirits on the Monty showed that Mirage had some difficulties dealing with that. And if Parabellum can essentially ape that, mimic it, copy it, whatever term you want to use, then that's excellent, frankly. And it really does exploit a weakness that you saw that was present in another match. Kudos to Parabellum, if that's the reason why they've decided to incorporate a Monty, simply to try and catch Mirage off guard.
I fully agree. If you can play different paces and styles of Rainbow Six Siege in a single matchup, you should, right? One round you go super fast, the blast entry round number 1. Second round you're going fast, but you're doing it with a Monty who's a very passive operator. Third round, now we're taking it slow actually from Parabellum. We're droning everything out, holding angles, waiting for a response from Mirage, and when no response comes around, well, we start taking map control arguably for free. And now we see it right now. Drones come in, Breach goes through, Blast will sneak in with information. We just take it step by step and another easy opening kill just like that.
Blaz comes in, Mirage goes out. You can't explain that. Incredible stuff. Started the day with 67 kills, now up to 73. Blaz putting in so much work for this team. Again, leading the way for the North American League. And doing so on entry. Kento was caught completely off guard and was a free pick. The rest of Mirage close enough to this kitchen bomb site. Some still playing from above. Parabellum has not been able to sweep through all of the roamers. A little bit over a minute to go now as some of them go back to Discovery, and Mirage might want the cavalry to come back into the bomb site if they feel like the push from Parabellum will be too overwhelming.
This is the most difficult point for Parabellum to be in, though. They gotta break this wall, but as I said, that Asian gets a kill. Blast is on side again, but the shutdown from Mirage stops him.
Dexter, the very first pick for his team. Melted joins in as well. Parabellum had an advantage. It's now gone. Asian and Doc on low HP too, as is Dexter. All these teams taking their lumps. Mirage wants to re-engage from above. They know that the buck is nearby. They hear the Gon 6 go off as Asian heads back down the stairs. Good patience from Mirage. Kool-Aid's in the midst of the bomb site. He's got Doc right next to him, but there's a nitro cell from Melton. It seems to miss, but Doc gets taken out as Dexter on the flank catches Parabellum looking in the wrong direction. Asian will twist and turn as Melton shuts him down in a big clutch as Melton picks up 3 huge kills and will hop on that diffuser while Mirage regains the lead.
So, bringing in the numbers right now, Parabellum, they have 3 plants in a row, 3 opening kills in a row, none answered back from Mirage. Yet Parabellum only have 1 round to Mirage's 2. That puts us in this weird position where, on the numbers, Parabellum doing great work. Round and round and round, time and time again. But Mirage's clutch factor in those 3-3s, or even when they're in a 1 versus 4, where like Mo was, they come out on top 2 out of 3 times. It's impressive stuff from Mirage's defensive side. It's exactly what they need, to get a chance to fight back, because once we go for side swap after round number 6, that's where people are going to go, Mirage attacks, what are they going to look like? Because I don't think they're going to be able to match Parabellum's efficiency right now.
No, that's a very good point to be had. Especially when Villa, the first thing any long-term viewer of Villa will think is this is a very defender-sided, very defender-friendly matchup. If Mirage fails to get 3 rounds on defense, and that spells trouble. I will say, I completely echo your thoughts. The fact that Parabellum are able to get those opening picks, get the objective down, and gain map control very quickly, all extremely impressive. And with the exception of round number 1, Parabellum have been in the middle of the bomb site, getting the diffuser down with a good grace period should they have to fall off. It's not in the dying 10 seconds of the round. They've got ample opportunity and tons of time to try again if Mirage shuts them down the very first time the diffuser gets to be planted.
You're absolutely right. Let's see, upper lineup-wise, we're back on AVG. A similar story to the first opening round. Kento on the Frost, Dexter on the Warden. No spawn pick this time on that 90 window. We cannot really repeat those because they become predictable otherwise. And Parabellum, once again, bringing out the Monty. So, again, we're changing the pace every single round, and it can be so difficult to figure out how you should match it as a defending team. And remember, you don't know they're bringing a Monty until you hear the shield clanging around the bomb site or somewhere on the map once they start roam clearing you out. This is going to be a split attack. Doc down below, using those grenades to clear out the shield possibly. He's going to nade the floor once. Second nade goes towards the shield. Then we got both members on the master bedroom balcony and study balcony. I like how he's choosing to clear out that shield position because it can be tricky, but Doc seemingly has a very good formula on how to clear that out efficiently every single time. And he's doing it right now so that in case Doc dies later in the round, those grenades have already been spent. Now he's just a free gun on the map, and you won't have to deal with, roam clearing downstairs later in the round when so many things are happening. So it might look like Parabellum are attacking this round very, very slowly, but the time they've spent now, they won't have to spend later on in a minute from now. So it really does balance out quite nicely, and their pacing is just about on track what you would expect.
Diffuser 2 will likely be juggled, at least what we've seen from Kool-Aid so far. He's not likely going to be the one getting the plant down. It entirely depends on how they want to approach this Aviator Games defense, as you talked about. Right now, Parabellum stacked up over towards the master bedroom side of things, and Blaz does it again, by the way. Again and again and again. Blaz gets these opening picks, absolutely monstrous. Down goes the star and the clutch master of round number 1, Mohesi.
Yeah, it's also, again, your C4. Dexter still has, but Dexter plays so front forward and so aggressive that a C4 in his pocket doesn't necessarily have the same guaranteed value or expected outcome. I like this quote-unquote rat play instead of 90. Benji's gonna stick the corner, teammate kills the drone for him. Dexter presses nicely onto Doc. That's an important kill.
What did I say about the timing, though? The Monty's already in the middle of the site, and there's 45 seconds left. Timing for EE1Ds to go out. Eska still has one more in back pocket. Now Dexter is in the line of fire. Toxic canisters doing a little bit of damage. A fake rip from the nitro cells. Dexter wants to draw out another. Has great timing with these pre-fires, but gets a bit unlucky in that engagement. It allows the Montana Kool-Aid to vacate the premises. Now it's all up to Asian. Stacked up right next to Eska. There goes the last E1D. Toxic canisters go out. Damage to Kool-Aid being done. We don't know. Blaz down. Now Eska will follow. Diffuser planted, but Kool-Aid taking damage in the ensuing fray, and now he's down too. It's all up to Asian. Sits far back. In a 1v3, Eska is unretrievable, but depending on where he is, can still be giving information. Kento on the diffuser. Asian needs to get a call off of this, kills his teammate, and can only get a single player. I don't know if he was just trying to keep his opponents from getting it or not, but Mirage hops on, gets the easy disable, and Parabellum, caught with their pants down right after the diffuser goes down, they ultimately give the round to Mirage.
Definitely a positive situation for Asian, and I think it comes down to not necessarily pressure or nerves, but there is so much happening in the round. He doesn't have info 90, he doesn't have exact information on the bomb side, so he just hears and sees his injured member on top red stairs, and unfortunately, it is his teammate. And team killing him doesn't change any of the outcome possibilities of that round, thankfully. But it's again, opening kill Parabellum, plant Parabellum, early bombsite presence for Parabellum, yet it's Mirage who once again wins the round in those retake situations. And looking back at the round, I mean, Parabellum, they pretty much played it near perfect. Like, sure, they lost the gunfight on Study Balcony to Kento. That opened things up for sure. But outside of individual gunfights being a 50-50 coin flip, they really strategically played that round nicely. But sometimes all you need is just to go crazy with the gun skill and then somehow bring it back. That's what Mirage are doing time and time again. It's working out. They got their 3 rounds that they wanted, right? The minimum threshold of defensive victory, so to speak. Mirage can go 3 for 3 at worst. They can, you know, go even on the flip. Parabellum, they need now to get some rounds on the table for themselves. If Mirage go 4-2, 5-1, it starts looking very scary for Parabellum, as there's not a whole lot of room for error once they could get to defend on Villa themselves.
Oh, we follow along with what's going on with the kills. 50 kills being a very impressive metric. We can fixate on it in just a second. Parabellum very quickly working away at the wall. And have managed to open it up. Mirage's attempt to rebuff them, not going quite well. You have to be wary of the Nomad. No shield being brought this time. Kento's impacts expended. There's an air jab on the doorway. That means that retaking Master, perilous for Mirage. It could be in a very rough spot if they decide to try it. Kool-Aid the only one who's taken any damage so far in the server. 1 minute off of the clock. And with that work being done, it makes Mirage uncomfortable with the way that they sit inside of this bomb site and gives Parabellum tons of time to line up the rest of the execute.
Normally when Mirage defend this bomb site and they attack the master bedroom, Kento on the master bedroom door is how they win and lose rounds. Melted gets Kool-Aid early on, that's ace off the board, but they've breached the wall already, it's not a huge loss.
Very first blood for Mirage so far in this match. Comes in round number 5, good timing. They've allowed this Parabellum team to dominate in terms of opening picks. And I mean, even with all those opening picks, Parabellum doesn't have anything to show for it outside of a single round.
You're right. I like the approach here. Doc and Blast working together for Astra, but look at Melter's position.
Oh, gets pre-fired by Doc. He could have had 2 separate targets to be found, and now Blaz has an even greater opening, searching for kill number 10 in round number 5. That's a number that is impressive as ever, and he'll get it. Doc down to Benji. All these guns hitting their marks. Nice shot from Blaz again, and he misses the Jaeger, lets him slip by, and cannot out-duel Benji, who'll need to clutch in a 1v2, but can't get past Eska. Parabellum might have surrendered the first blood, but they get the round. They're second so far, looking to tie up this first half with 1 round to go.
It looked a bit dicey there as Parabellum started challenging 1 versus 1 versus 1, but they do get that 1v2 clutch in their pocket. No plant was going down, so, you know, had Eska lost his individual gunfight to Blast in that scenario, that could have been a dicey situation. But it worked out. Blast is, again, seemingly just walks into the bomb site, clears corner after corner, gets kill after kill. But it was Doc who allowed that to happen. Doc's first kill in this game was onto Melted, who was playing smoke instead of Astro. And it looked like Melted had that under complete control as Doc had no information. But by winning that gunfight, he allowed himself and Blast to take control over Astro. That got the control of mine instead of this triple instead of statue. Then the Frost inside the trophy bomb site afterwards. So a single kill just snowballs that map control in favor of the attackers. And then the round is over from there. We're once again winning and losing of Blaz. So if you can find the openings and keep going forward, the round is basically done. But Blaz also has a weakness. And that is, he doesn't really stop going forward. He will get 2 kills, which is amazing, but he wants the 3rd. He'll get enough control on the map to get the full bomb site, but he wants that final member on top red stairs, which he doesn't need to aggress for, but he goes for it anyway. The thing about confidence is that confidence is king in Rainbow Six Siege, to take these gunfights, to win them as well. But sometimes discipline has to come above it after a certain reward, if you will, once you get those 2 or 3 kills. You don't have to get the 4th every single time. But what do I know? Blast has way more kills than I have, that's for sure. He's doing great so far.
talk about the kills a little bit now because we have a little bit of quiet time. Tried to talk about it in the previous round, but guess what? They decided that action was going to come much faster than we expected. The players that were just seeking 50 kills in this matchup were Mo, he's accomplished it. Melted, he's accomplished it. Kento is 2 kills away from 50, and Asian is 4 kills away from 50. Almost everybody else in this lobby have hit it. The only one who hasn't and is likely out of contention for this match is Eska. He entered with 30 kills, 33 to his name at the moment. I mean, it's entirely possible he drops 17 more kills for the remainder of this round, but I think it's unlikely given his role.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to go absolutely nuclear, and also your teammates would have to not get a whole lot of kills at the same time, which that's unlikely in this scenario.
I mean, you'd have to do that's called the forest treatment right there. So you need to absolutely play out of his mind, or even if Blaz do it. And I mean, you don't have a lot of space to get so many kills when Blaz is taking them all away from you. Asian down for the count. No more kills to add to his tally this time. Mo starting off the round right for Mirage with a Nitro cell. Down goes the ace. That's the single hard breacher of Parabellum off of the board.
It's also Mo's first kill since that very first opening round when he got the 4K clutch and AVG defense. So Mo's been quiet for a bit, has played C4 almost every single round, but this time actually gets it off and it rewards him a kill. They do have a second one in pocket, that is from Melted, so Mo can keep giving off information. Nope, he cannot. Mo's down for the count as Blaz finds him on the verticality.
Well, Blaz ultimately trades himself out for that pick as Kento finishes him off. And from above, the Buck doing some serious damage. It can now potentially walk into the bomb site. The last time that we saw Parabellum get the diffuser down here, they were beaten on the retake, and beaten quite formidably by Mirage, who barely broke a sweat in doing it. The benefit that Parabellum had at the time was that they had the numbers advantage. They do not have that this time. They're in the middle of the bomb site, though, so PB have some site control. How tenuous is it? Well, they're getting rebuffed every single step of the way, and now suddenly all of the forces in the bomb site are as good as dead. It's Eska in a 1v4. Searching for the very final players. Mirage winning the first half 4-2 seems like a certainty, and Melted makes it absolutely happen. Mirage goes up 4-2 after the first half, showing that defense on Villa is still a favored place for most teams to go, and we'll swap sides.
That final attack gun from PP is arguably on paper the worst one they've done so far because I was not impressed with the strategical coordination. The Buck drops the laundry hatch very early to open up that laundry wall. No vertical play was done inside a memo, and when they walk into the bomb site, the crosshair between the memo player and the pantry player, it got them 2 kills from Mirage's side. So PP actually missed the whole step. They missed vertical control in the crucial position to allow them to walk in the way they did, and they got punished from it. Mirage, of course, were in great position, reading the situation well. They deserve that round. 4-2 is a great start for them.
Who will have a higher rating, Kool-Aid or Mohesi? Who has better hair? I mean, that one's obviously Kool-Aid. I have to say that every single time. What do you think?
I mean, I'm a Mo kind of person. I'm not gonna lie. He's been playing phenomenally this entire stage, basically.
Kool-Aid 2-5-1 with 2 diffusers being planted. Mo 5-5-1 and a clutch. But as you pointed out, the lion's share of Mo's kills coming in that very first round. The public thinks that Kool-Aid's going to win 55-45. And, I mean, you could be right. Right now, Kool-Aid does lag behind in the kills department, but has proven his worth outside of that. First half, by the way, diffusers being planted by Parabellum in half of the rounds or more. Bomb site cycle excluded living room library. The 3 other bomb sites played twice with differing results. Aviator and Kitchen were the only bomb sites that were successfully defended. Parabellum won both trophy statuary executes, which for a map right now on Villa, it's been played 4 times in the NAL. Trophy statuary has a 56% win rate for the defenders. Kitchen is up at 60%. Living room library has been played twice, only 2 times, and was won by the attackers both times. That might give you a good idea as to why we're not currently seeing it being brought by either team.
What we are seeing being brought, though, is Benji on the Ying, an operator that Parabellum did not choose to bring on their attacking side. And Mirage, they were playing Wharton twice themselves, also not the story for Parabellum. So this Ying operator, that is Benji, could do a ton of damage once we get to that execution phase of the round. But the thing is, we have to get there first. We're defending Aviator games, we're roam clearing from Master Bedroom over, we're playing for map control, and Parabellum, they're also defending it. Yellow ping comes out, C4 below from Asian, misses, nothing really happens there. Dog playing on the red stairs with a member downstairs of Kool-Aid covering his cross. So the red stairs hold here is very important for Parabellum. Mirage, they have to break it to advance in this round.
Ooh, Kento's got a long angle, and I think he just saw the feet of Doc, but I mean, unless he's a foot enjoyer, there was no benefit to seeing that at all. Blaz was posted up behind the deployable shield. I like this alibi frost mat combo inside of study because you're going to try to shoot the clone and then you might not be able to hit the mat at the same time. First pick goes to Melted, and there goes the Candelas. Blaz completely blinded in the corner, expended, but nothing followed up on except for Mo, who decides to take the fight to Kool-Aid before Doc shuts him down. Oh, Diffuser juggled. Blaz still in this rat corner, still in the midst of the smoke. He could do so much damage at close range with that storm in hand.
He can. Doc is there to bait the drones as well. He hears the footsteps of Buck on red stairs. He swings for it, but the timing does not favor him. And Blaz might have to fall back off his aggressive position now and play behind that shield instead.
Kento could quarterback this. Both he and Blaz are tantalizingly close to engagements. There go the Candelas. Doc picks up a kill onto Melted. Another smoke goes out. That should shut down a play from the other bomb site, but Mirage has very limited intel as Blaz and Eska try to get into position. Eska on the outside. He can cover Study quite easily. Waiting for them to walk right in. Blaz takes one down, another falters. Mirage did not do their homework, but now it's Dexter on a flank of his own, and he looks the wrong way as Blaz picks up 3. This is really a game for the ages for Blaz, as Parabellum claw their first round out on defense.
It looks like Blaz is playing a mixture of either Terrorist Hunt or Ranked at this point because he's just swinging every single gunfight like this doesn't even matter. And it's not because he's disrespecting Mirage by any means or measure. It's that Blaz has been doing so well. You know, we can base that off his kill record, as you've been putting out, Parker. He's going to keep doing this until some team shuts him down. And if he can't shut Blaz down, then he will just take as many kills as you will allow him, which so far is 15 in 7 rounds. It's an impressive record to have. And I mean, look at this. Blaz is on the mute. Does he have a shotgun? Obviously not, right? You give this man the MP5K, give him a fully automatic primary with 31 bullets so that he can keep going for those gunfights. But you're also not going to make him be completely loose, right? If you need the mutant aboard this round and you also want the Echo, well, guess what? No one gets to play Alibi. So Blaz is still playing the team role, supporting the supporting lineup that he has to bring, but he will be allowed to do so in a more aggressive way because he's such an important factor for the aggressiveness of this team. So they're playing nicely around him, but they're not putting all their eggs in one basket, you know, fully relying on him just bringing a certain operator. We're always talking about like crutches, like last meta was like finger crutch, now we got alibi crutch. Blaz just kind of plays whatever, right? That's an impressive thing to do because most members that are having these crazy stat lines will often get seen on the same simple operator every single time for comfort.
82 kills on this stage for Blaz. 82 kills. By the notes that I have here in front of me, next closest I believe is Rexon with 63, tied with Yeti and Newers. So, oh no, sorry, Fultz has 64. I missed Fultz. Fultz, I would like to formally apologize. In fact, we actually have a great deal of ties because Forrest also has 63 kills along with Newers, Yeti, and Rexon. So Blaz really paving his own way, but we know that Forrest can drop a 20 bomb and easily jump up there to contend. So it'll be fascinating to watch unless there's been a glaring issue with the way that I have compiled all of these numbers. First Candela goes out, by the way, 1 minute in. Mirage using a skeleton key and one of those big flash clusters to try and push somebody off of Aviator and Games, but there's nobody there, so they can walk right in with impunity and continue to march towards this trophy statuary bomb site.
I'm a little bit surprised that Parabellum are choosing not to bring the Warden. They are bringing the Echo, which will give you information, a deployable shield, etc. But with Ying being brought the last round, this basically signifies that Parabellum does not believe the Ying to be an issue. And if we look back at Mirage, this entire Stage 3, we always talk about how their attacks are not the greatest. Well, this could be easily one of those, like they've identified that they don't think the Ying is a massive problem because the executes aren't that clean from Mirage. They don't think they'll need it, don't think the value is there. Last C4 goes out, doesn't do a single point of damage, but he's still alive at least.
He's downstairs inside of that bike room. Logic bomb goes off, it looked like, or no, rather, he went onto his phone. I don't know if it was to turn off a logic bomb or to go onto cams. We only saw it for a brief second. ADS gobbles up both the flash and the Gon 6. That means that Doc's shield hangs on, and that is massive for Parabellum.
Yeah.
There's no free entry to this statuary part of the bomb site.
Not just that, but the shield also covers the mute jammer for the wall, and we have Ace on the master bedroom balcony who now can no longer breach it.
There goes the Candelas. First pick is Kool-Aid. Benji walks right in, completely blinded, gets a pick onto Asian. More coming in, but it's Doc to take the fight. Just drives straight up. Blaz a kill down below. Mirage's entries not where they need to be. Their attacks falling flat on their face. Mo's trying his best to keep it in, but Blaz picks up kill number 2 as Eska seals the deal, and we've got ourselves a tie game.
That we do, and I mean, let's look at how, or like what time that round ended at. 29 or 28 seconds, and it was basically the initial execute that got shut down. Let's flip it. When Parabellum was on attack, when were they in the bomb site basically planting? At like 45 seconds left, and they had multiple people alive. It's a very different kind of attacking pace from these teams, and the most impressive thing about this is that Parabellum aren't even roaming. They're all sitting on the bomb site, which means the map should be cleared out relatively quickly from Mirage, but it's not. They're taking a lot of time considering what they're up against, which is basically no roamers. And it's forced a timeout from Mirage's side.
Well, that's not very surprising here. If you look at the way that the defense skews on Villa, we talked about it in the first half. 53% right now in favor of the defense. 53% of all rounds played, won by the defenders. One of the higher overall numbers for any of these maps. Cafe with 62%, though. Good Lord, that is quite high. And, well, that actually leads the way in terms of most defender-sided map. But Villa, 53%. Every single bomb site that gets actively played skews towards the defense. Aviator Games at 52, Trophy Statuary at 56, Kitchen Dining won 60% of the time by the defenders, and that's exactly where they're going to go now for Parabellum. Go downstairs, go to the most defender-sided of these bomb sites. But if you look at the way that these bomb sites have ebbed and flowed, Aviator Games has been played 3 times so far today, Nick, and it's been won by the defense every single time. Trophy Statuary has been played 3 times as well. Mirage failed on both defenses, but Parabellum did not. So it's 2-1 in favor of the attackers, and Parabellum has won that bomb site every single time. On Kitchen, it's been played twice, won by the defenders both times. Parabellum can gain the lead by continuing that trend and make it 3-0, locking it until what would eventually be the 12th and final round should it be needed.
Right now, the numbers are pretty even. I mean, 53 defender win rate is that's a very, very fair balance. I mean, back when Villa first came out, or Theme Park first came out, we're looking at like 75% defender win rate, map round scores. And speaking to pro players during our player interviews throughout the stage, I always ask them, how do you guys feel about the meta right now? The balance, with the Finka nerf, the LMG nerfs, etc., all that stuff, the recall changes. And most of them say that they feel like the attacker and defender side choice is pretty much like a dead even 50-50 in terms of like feeling. Of course, there's numbers behind this, but just like player comfortability and how they feel about choosing a starting side seems to be, for most players, at least the ones I've spoken to, very, very even. So in other terms, it's a very healthy balance right now, and it comes down to execution, playstyle, and preparation, more so than just sheer, oh, this map is crazy good for defense for no reason. It's not like that anymore. If you play well, you'll win the round, whether you're in attack or defense.
Melted getting droned in on a collision course right now with the Legion of Asian playing downstairs, and they tussle. Melted losing out. Melted having a great game, by the way. Very quietly assembling 10 kills before he gets pokeballed by Doc. Asian gets away with limited HP, but Parabellum still start off on a strong footing.
I don't know if you recall, but remember when Parabellum did this exact same injury with Blast? It was very, very clean, very swift, very accurate. Mirage, they're doing the exact same thing, but in a little bit of a different way, and now they're stuck halfway through the round. There's no one even in living, by the way. They ran away. Like, they're out of there. They don't know yet. So the drone work right now, not really hitting their marks.
Doc from above, waiting patiently. A quiet round. Oh, he misses out. Not exactly the reflexes he wants. Got to go back to aim lab and grind that one out. Better luck next time. Mirage managed to get away with no damage actually being done whatsoever from Parabellum on that upstairs gameplay. But Mirage obviously know they need to clear out that top floor. They have failed to do so at this point. It's going to be a very linear, very straight-on execute. As there goes a Candela. Mo is dropped down, will likely go through pantry with the diffuser in hand. Benji waits outside. Gumine's being hit. Will give information to Parabellum right before the execute begins.
Mirage had to change their course there because they can't get away in. So basement staircase and a rush through. Might do it.
Oh, there's Mo to get the pick. As we said, he wanted to go through Pantry, but instead he decides another way. Benji gunning down Kool-Aid. Kitchen not working out for the defenders one bit. Suddenly, Mirage with the advantage, and it continues to get better and better as Kento and Mo get the final kills, and Mirage deny Parabellum the lead.
It's such a weird round to break down because on paper, Mirage should never win that. And it's basically a flawless round after they lose the opening kill because no one dies after that. They had to sprint up a staircase, sprint past the guy on the Astro stairs, just into the bomb site door and win 5 gunfights back to back to back to back to back. And they did it. Just like that. What should have been the most difficult task for them somehow was the easiest. And I was thinking that, I was looking at it, I was like, they can't breach the walls. They can't really just walk into a site. I thought so, at least. So thanks to dropping down that hatch and living, gonna go up a staircase, etc. That makes a lot of sense. It's what they have to do. It's a bit of a desperation play. They did have the Ying to try and help them a little bit to get in initially. But other than that, it didn't seem like the odds were with them. In Parabellum, they lose that most defender-favorite bomb set of kitchen dining. I'm gonna change up to AVG and again instead, where they kind of one-off Blast's gun skill. It's a bit of a messy execute from Mirage. They keep bringing out the Ying. That's going to be their brute force operator for these rounds to come. Dexter is going to opt for a more supportive role of Thatcher, likely to signify that they want to breach the walls this time around, likely vault instead of 90, or if they're going for a study attack, get those study walls and top main control.
Timeout working out quite effectively. They play with a lot more confidence. I am surprised, though, that linear take, not focusing on anything upstairs, it really fell on its face for Parabellum defending up top because time after time we'll see a team go for an execute. They will forget about the players that are on the second or even third floor, depending on how these kill holes are set up in the floor, Nick. And you just get picked apart because you do not push off those players on the top floor. Did not matter at all for Mirage last time. And from our vantage point, I don't know if you saw it, but I'm not exactly sure what went wrong for Parabellum, as they did hold that top floor.
They did.
And just didn't really have any major success for it. First engagement is Blaz looking for Dexter, did a lot of damage, softened him up. He was just marinating him, letting him steep in his own pool of blood. And Blaz, 18 goddamn kills in 10 rounds is just something else.
Yeah, and I mean, that stature off the board, which could be trouble if Mute was being played on this round, but it's not. So honestly, yeah, it is now harder to deal with, Banshees, etc., but it's not the end of the world. It would be a bigger loss if Melted died, only bringing those 2 grenades that you need to clear out these positions, because again, the red hold from PPE is supreme, and Kool-Aid finds the second kill of the round for this team onto Mo.
Parabellum looking to answer back right now, and things are going really well for them. Blaz, the only casualty for PB. Everybody but Kento, the casualties for Mirage. A longer list of who's dead than who's alive. Kento's got 4 kills to his name. His stats at the moment, not the strongest, but he's clutched out before. He's got a lot of work to be done, and he's got time to do it. The only thing that will benefit him is if there's sloppiness from Parabellum, because winning a 1v4 requires an awful lot of assistance from the 4 players who might get a little greedy. Started already. Kento could have taken the head off of one of Parabellum's players, but will now instead contend with the Warden of Kool-Aid, who pops up on top of Model and ties things up yet again. Parabellum's only lead will come in round number 11 because there's only 2 more rounds of regulation to play.
Yeah, this is where both teams, they really need every single round they can get. So a clutch, of course, can sway the numbers. A mistake can do the same thing in the opposite direction. And now is where the pressure starts building up, right? Will a player like Blaz, for example, stop playing as aggressively as he has so far because there's that pressure that you might throw around? Or will he stick true to it because he is 18-8? He has slowed down a little bit, if you will, compared to the previous rounds. But it's also on the defensive side. Blaz is no longer walking through the map just looking for kills. He's holding crucial areas off the map, waiting for Mirage to advance towards him. Mirage, one of their biggest weaknesses is, yes, their attacks are weak, but the reasoning for why they're weak is because they tend to do the same attack time and time again. It was an issue earlier in the stage against SSG on Chalet. It's been an issue pretty much across the board, regardless of what map they play. I want to see Mirage do something differently. If they go Master Bedroom again and just brute force it, in through that area, and they lose the round, for example, I wouldn't be too happy with that.
Attackers are moving
They gotta try and do something different, if you will. They keep bringing the Ying. That is their operative choice. Just like Parabellum, they brought Monty those 2 or 3 rounds as well. The spawns are different from Mirage. They do seem to have a different approach in mind. They can approach that the way they would like to, but the roam contesting is there from Parabellum. Both Asian, Doc, and Blaz. The trio right now. 2 playing above, 1 below. But of course, Blaz, who's a below member, does have a C4, as you should if you're going to play that vertical angle.
Calm before the storm. This is my favorite round, 5-5, because no matter what happens, a team will go to match point. Always get excited.
It's true.
When this occurs. This has really been the Blaz show, by the way. 18 kills is just inhuman, but not out of the ordinary for some of the superstars that we've seen. Again, we've seen Rexon drop an incredible amount of kills. I think Spirits also had an 18-kill game last week. 20 kills from Forest before. Asian, very first pick. On to Kento. That's a reward for being the last alive for his team. Asian starting to warm up, as is all of Parabellum. 19 kills now for Blaz, as it's Mohesi, his victim, his target. Goes down into the ground.
Yep. And they fall back, Parabellum that is, immediately upon getting that first initial kill. Blaz found the second, and now he might fall. He doesn't read the situation well, but Blaz sticks into living area, just awaits his next move. And I want to make a correction, because Mirage did attack from study side last time. They're doing it again. But it was a contesting from Parabellum, who last time played passively, now aggressed into them. And Blaz playing cat and mouse with Dexter finds his 20th kill of this series. Of this match, rather. That's a huge milestone for a single 1v1. Best of one.
Benji creeping up. A little bit of damage has been done to him. Unsure who is doing the damage right now. Parabellum, not a single scratch on that paint job. They look mighty fine. Blaz down below, 20 kills. Could there be 21? Eska down for the count. First kill from Mirage coming in. Decent timing for them to begin their execute. 45 seconds left. And there's a ton of munition for Benji to just continue spewing out. Melted. Another kill for Mirage as Kool-Aid is good as gone, but Blaz is still the wild card down below. Benji attempting the defuse plant, but Benji falls off. It's rightly timed. Now Blaz will need to clutch it a 1v2. Sight control for Mirage. Blaz over towards Trophy, now going towards Statuary. Both members of Mirage cycling around. Blaz by the deployable shield. He's going to have to pick his targets correctly. They're all the way there. He sees them, does damage to Benji, but nowhere near enough. Catches the back of just a second. And now he'll need to head right back in. Blaz taking damage in the process, and Melted does not allow any more incredible plays. 20 kills is all he's going to get after that round. Mirage on match point.
And it's again, Mirage winning a round that they shouldn't really win. They're down at 2 versus 4. They have no utility, no drone information. Had a single smoke grenade left in the pocket of Ying, who used it to great effect to enable some of that bomb site presence. And it really comes down to Parabellum. They didn't have any real operator or utility to deny the plan. So they're going for those gunfights because it's being faked out. No C4s, no toxic babes. They had to take those 1v1 gunfights, and it did not go in their favor. And of course, PB now seeing this position that it's match point for Mirage. They're going to call their tactical timeout because you'd rather take it now, talk things through, force overtime than to lose in regulation and not having taken it. But of course, a bit of frustration can be seen in their faces because that round technically was theirs.
Good time to call the timeout. I mean, you have to. I mean, you have to because it could be the last round. You're hoping for overtime at this point. Just look at these opening picks, by the way. Mirage only have 3 opening picks by my count out of 11 rounds. That's it. Only 3 rounds where Mirage has had an advantage in terms of man count for any good period of time prior to the end of the round. And yet they have 6 rounds in total. Parabellum are very, very efficient at getting that first pick, but then after that, they struggle so hard and are just unable to close it out. And I mean, I don't want to put blame on some of the supporting cast, but outside of Blaz, the next closest player has 5 kills. I understand that Blaz is stealing the show, and we're going to keep saying his name because he deserves it with the play he's had so far. But is he essentially creating this almost killing vacuum that when Blaz dies, nobody else is in position to get these picks? Because if you have a whole team where you have 5 kills, 4 kills, 5 kills, 5 kills, and you lose that star player, you're in rough shape. you're in very, very rough shape, whereas things are far more spread out on Mirage's side of things with Mo at 9 kills, Melted at 14, and Benji at 8.
You are correct. And you can almost make the argument that all Mirage has to do in this case is shut down Blast. You know, you can start targeting him, play the Jackal, play the Lion, play the Dokkaebi, find him, isolate him, kill him, because Blast is normally roaming alone on the map, usually a floor below his teammates. Now, is that a super viable strategy? Probably not across the board, but I do think there's some truth to it, what you just said, Parker, where, yeah, if Blast doesn't kill somebody, then no one else really will. I think discipline might have been a weakness as well in that previous round for Parabellum, swinging in a 1v1 gunfight, exposing yourself to individual opponents, whereas when you have the numbers advantage in a 4v2, you know, use 2 members to fight against 1 member, and then you will get a trade at the very worst. It goes from a 4v2 to a 3v1. Do that again, it's 2v0, you win the round, congratulations. Mirage aren't planting the diffuser in these rounds. They're winning off the initial gunfights, and then Parabellum just falls 1 by 1. It's the same kind of story. Blast is playing downstairs, has a C4, plays alone and isolates it. Mirage, same lineup, Thatcher, Nomad, and the Ying. The 3 key operators. Last time they lost members clearing the roam, now it's a 5v5. You got Dexter and Mo on Master Pedro balcony, and with those EMPs and ace charges, they can clear out the triple wall and get some pressure on towards the bomb side. That's a very big win for them because they have not had that in any of the previous rounds.
We're at 1 minute and 15 seconds now to go. Match on the line for Parabellum. Mirage, 3 points could be within their grasp, and they would take sole possession of 2nd place in the North American League with 2 play days to go, meaning that there would only be 6 more points that they could accrue. Not good enough to overpass or to overcome the lead that the Sonics have. And the Sonics could even stretch their lead with a victory today and all but clinch their spot going to the major. For a team that has been in the basement of the North American League, this is absolutely astounding for Mirage, who by adding these 2 players have been in such good shape. But there's Asian to suddenly gun down Melted and Mo. Mirage having an answer back. Suddenly they've got 2 kills of their own. And another now as well, as Kento is in the middle of the bomb site doing so much damage behind the deployable shield. Parabellum with Kool-Aid and Asian spotted out by 1. It's Kento to do even more damage. And can he drive a dagger through the hearts of Parabellum? Diffuser's down. Kool-Aid, a single tap onto Dexter. A comeback to be had. He's got Kento and Benji to be found, but there's still 2 Candelas left. Mirage, chalk to the gills with utility at the moment, and Kool-Aid is completely blind. He's got the timer working against him. Mirage looking for the knockout blow, and Kool-Aid continuously stunned. Which way to get back into the bomb site? They hear him making noise. Kool-Aid has an idea of where they are. There's his last toxic canister doing damage to Benji. But they know exactly the spot that Kool-Aid is in. A beautiful shot, but he's only got 1 second to get to the diffuser, and he's not gonna do it. Kento a 4K, Mirage all 3 points, and they're in 2nd place.
Oh my, I mean, I don't know what to say. The Ying in the 1v2 is so disrespectful. I mean, you're just tossing Candelas at your opponent, stalling for time. It is so well played by them. And Kento, of course, is going to open things up, just rushing that bomb side, pulling a blast, if you will, against Parabellum. And it will be a Mirage victory.
The likelihood of them making the major right now, oh my goodness, can you feel it?
It's close.
Can you taste it? Can you smell it? Can you see it? Can you hear it? What a story this has been for Mirage. Parabellum, an opportunity to go into overtime, secure themselves at least 1 point, a consolation prize had they made it, possibly even 2 points for the victory, but they get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. And suddenly Mirage are in a spot that not any of us ever thought that this team would be in, and what a story it has been from them. What a stage it has been from them. They haven't secured their spot just yet. There's still an opportunity for other teams to get more points and ultimately muscle them out of that spot. But things look pretty good for the Great White North right now.
It does. I mean, the thing is, a loss is a loss, sure, but when you lose the way you did as Parabellum, it's gonna sting because those rounds were yours until they weren't. Even that final round with the flank formation. Better luck next time. Very close game, as we wanted. Happy to see it. Congrats, Mirage.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. Mirage, what a showing for them. And there's still 2 more play days. Mirage will square off against Beast Coast next week.
Ooh.
The team that has not done anything but lose. If you look at the stats, Mirage beating Beast Coast that should be what we see based on precedent. Then Mirage closes out the week and going up against the Sonics, or closes out the stage going up against the Sonics. That one is going to be tough. Either way, that's match number 1 in the books. We got 4 more for you. Space Station versus Beast Coast is up next. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Rainbow Six North American League Analyst Desk. Your host over here with Jesse, Jacob, and special guest C-Daps. And over in Las Vegas, we have a member of the winning team, Mirage, to chat with us a little bit about that last map. We got Melted. Hey, how's it going? When we chatted in Vegas before the stage began, you were telling me about how you were kind of disappointed with stage 2, right? You were sick for a while. Things didn't go great. How is it now that you're here on stage in stage 3, getting to finally show what you wanted to show this whole year?
Dude, it is wonderful, bro. You don't understand. Like, going from like last place to like where I'm at now, it's the team environment's just improved. It's just, I can't even describe it. It's so nice to be on a winning team for once in my career.
Melted, you've been crushing it the last couple of games, specifically kind of in these late rounds on defense. You're playing that smoke. Tell me, is that something that you've kind of like decided as a team that's going to be kind of your new role going forward on this squad? Or is that something specific to Villa where you like to play the smoke, you like to play a little bit passive on this map particularly? Because it's the only map you've gone to for the last 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, like, it wasn't really a team decision, but I just felt really comfortable in the smoke and like controlling the map with my smoke grenades and like, cutting off angles for my teammates, and it's been working very well for me. And honestly, I like it. It's very comfortable for me.
Yeah, and so we already talked about the defensive late rounds, but I wanted to really focus on the attacking side, where you guys finally seem to really get things going on your floods. How did it feel in that sort of chaos, finding success finally?
Oh, dude, like it's like the most like adrenaline pumping thing in the world, because like it's just pure chaos, and like we're trying to execute, and like people are flanking. It's like it's really fun. It's like finally we got some attacks. Like after our SSG game and our exit game, like we kind of had to sit down and just focus on like attacking, you know, because that was our main problem. And like still have a few issues. Like it was 7-5. Like PB were putting up a pretty good effort, but yeah, it's improved greatly from the last time we played.
You've made it through this part of the stage so far, and you've got 14 points. You have 2 games. One of them is Beast Coast coming up tomorrow, and the other one is Sonics next week. What are you doing for these last 2 games to see if you can't lock in top 4? And does the fact that you're playing Beast Coast tomorrow change anything because you know how they've been performing recently?
I will say this, Beast Coast is probably going to be our hardest game because it's just unpredictable. Like they could pop off at any moment like we did last stage with Beast Coast. Ironic, we switched positions, so it's I mean, we're obviously going to treat them as every other team, but it's definitely going to be a hard game.
I think we're all looking forward to that one. The situation's reversed, but like you said, I mean, when you're in the Pro League, you got to take every match seriously. But thanks for taking the time to chat with us. Congrats on the win today, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, Melted from Team Mirage. Probably looking more happy and animated than I've seen that guy look all year, and for good reason, too. It was a fairly close affair. It was a 7-5 victory, but it was still a pretty resounding success for not just Melted, but the whole Beast Coast, or not Beast Coast, Mirage lineup. I'm still thinking about that match tomorrow.
Yeah, it feels so good to like actually see Mirage with smiles on their faces. The team is looking better than ever, and again, this is continuing the streak of being able to at least get points on the board every single match. I think Melted has really grown into a player that can really thrive on this roster. He's looking so much better than what we saw from him in previous stages. So it's awesome to see. This is the exact type of growth that you want to see, and it's actually what we've seen on players from Mirage in the past. You go all the way back to like, Chase not loading on this team back in the day. It's players in Mirage that typically do improve over the years, so it's a great story.
I don't know, if we keep on doing the most improved player award at the very end of every year, Melted's definitely in contention for that, which I think is such a good thing for a team like this that had, like Melted said, that has been in the gutter for so long, and we haven't needed to put the focus for the past couple of games necessarily on the statistics of guys like Dexter and Mo nearly as much. We're giving Melted more of like the kills credit, the stats credit, but then we're also looking at the contributions made on those defensive holes and the way that they were able to shore up against a PB team that needed to come out strong in that first half, and a lot of that comes down to the way that Mo and Dexter have engineered this team on defense to be that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got a couple replays to take a look at to break that down a little bit more. We're going to start with the very first round of the map. We're going to start with round number 1, where some of the kills, how it all lined up, were pretty interesting and kind of a sign of things to come.
Somebody's got to get Blaz some help on this team.
Serious.
Dude, Blaz is doing all the heavy lifting, and this is the first round. He gets a little 4K, he's planting the kits, he's doing every job under the sun, and he helps out his team so much. 2 kills on the entry, 2 kills in the push, stops the flank, mid-plants. If anybody else is contributing to this round, Parabellum win, and this game goes to overtime, but unfortunately, it's just not there for anybody other than Blaz, and it's a really tough state to watch from Parabellum.
The problem is this happened more often than just now. It happened in round 5, where Blaz just walks in and finds a 3K with a hole that Mirage leave on the site. There are times where he is the one to open the roam up so consistently, and he's doing his job. The reason Parabellum brought him to this team in the first place, create a lot of early impact on both attack and defense. He can be that kind of fleeting roam player, off-site lurker, wherever you need him to be, and he will get those opening frags to start with. But you need to get him some other kind of support, some other kind of help. Right now, he is making a fantastic case as a solo player, and Parabellum are struggling for it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pressure on him as a player to be that kind of alpha and omega, beginning in and get the first kill as well as the final kill and secure the rounds. But if you don't have that pressure on you, things get a little bit easier. And overall, we've seen that Blaz is kind of prone to overheating. Even in that round that we just saw, probably shouldn't have peeked the hole once again when he had the case, losing it inside of Study, kind of sealed the fate and really opened the door for Mohes to get that 1v3.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it takes more than one star player to make a team win, right? And I mean, Blaz's back has got to be sore, right, as he heads back to the team house, because he carried about as hard as anyone possibly could. But
he dropped another Villa 20 bomb.
I know.
He's
right?
putting up crazy numbers on a map that makes and forges champions. I don't doubt that, but Parabellum need to start giving us something to talk about that isn't Blaz. We've put so much focus into him and his contribution and what he does for this squad. Now I'm wondering if he's just trying to pad his resume for when another team finally comes knocking and wants to take him off someplace else to give them the same level of success. Because right now, without Blaz, this Parabellum team doesn't even have probably the 2 wins they started the stage with. He's been insane for them.
Sure enough, let's take a look at another round. Round number 3, and this was one where some opening kills led to a really interesting 3v3 scenario. We'll take a look at that.
And I think this is a great round to highlight what Melted's contribution was, especially on that defensive half, right? He was able to really stay alive on this defense. This time he's on the mute, obviously been doing a lot of smoke play as well. But just notice how he's able to stay alive. He's preserving his life, going back into the basement, knowing that he'll be able to contribute late into this round. Of course, going to be a 3v3 push, 2 players coming in from the laundry side, Asian trying to get up above, but it's going to be such a great round for Melted as we get in here.
Yeah, and sure, we can say he's been playing a lot of smoke, really focusing on controlling the pacing of the game with those toxic babes. Instead, he's preserving not only his life, but that nitro cell that can be a potential win condition where, sure, now you clear the close angle and understand where the plant's going down. It's 100% on Tetris. It allows your team to start getting a little bit more aggressive. You're swinging around multiple areas. Melted can take those long-range gunfights with the SMG-11, make it look easy.
I've had a couple of times in this game, on this one specifically, and then the other time that they defend this site, where it feels like Parabellum are just trying to sneak a plant in, or they're trying to move when they realize there might be a bit of a gap, and you have to place so much off-site pressure on this site in particular that it means if you can sneak a plant in, great. No, all you have to do is cover it. And the problem is, in that round, PB couldn't cover it. The second time they go back to that same site and they try something similar, where's Melted again? In Pantry, finds a 3K. They don't drone him. They don't know that he's there. Melted on Kitchen seems like it's working out really well.
Yeah, Melted and the rest of Mirage, certainly an exciting story here in stage number 3 and getting one step closer to making the major. I can feel it. I can feel it. They're going there. I don't want to jinx it.
14 points, dude. That looks really good.
14, and they play Beast Coast tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, speaking of Beast Coast, they are one of the 2 teams we're going to see next. It's going to be Space Station Gaming taking on Beast Coast. I mean, Space Station looking for a win here. Seems like it's in their favor. We'll see, though, if Beast Coast has any surprises for them when NAL returns in just a few.